Hello, morning friends. Welcome back. And you remember the issues that we were discussing in the last class. When government makes a multi-river projects, there is a possibility of development for the nation. But at the same time, there are also many defects are there. The flora and the fauna, they are affected. Their breeding is affected. And the people who are displaced, people have to surrender their land, their houses, their fields, everything they have to surrender and they have to move away, and their life is displaced, their life is affected. That's why people join together, protest against the building of the multi-purpose projects. We said two examples of protest groups. One is Narmada, Bachao and Cholan, and one was Terry, Dam and Tolan. So these are some of the examples of groups that have protested against the suffering that is caused to certain people, especially those who are poor, those who are the villages. They are made to move away from there and go to other places, and their life is in ruins. And it is often they make that great sacrifice of losing their land, their houses, but other people, those who are not making any sacrifice, they are benefiting from it. So let us continue to see how these groups are protesting against the government, what is the reason behind all that. And you can take your textbook, page number 27. So let us see about that Narmada, Bachao and Tolan a little more detail, how they came together, how they began to oppose the government and so on. So Narmada, Bachao and Tolan or Save Narmada movement is a non-governmental organization that mobilizes tribal people, farmers, environmentalists and human rights activists against the Sardar Sarovar Dam being built across the Narmada river in Gujarat. So this river, Narmada river, is flowing in Gujarat, and government wanted to make a dam there. And so, as I said before, the lives of the people of that area is going to be affected. Therefore, that NGO group came together. They invited many people from different part of life, different walks of life. Like there are tribal people are there, farmers are there, environmentalists are there, human rights activists are there. So all these people joined together and they protested against the government and blocked the government program of building a dam there in order to protect the lives of the people. And it originally focused on the environmental issues related to trees that would be submerged under the dam water. So in the beginning, their concern was that when this dam is built, lot of trees are there, lot of forest areas are there, all the trees will go under the water and the forest will be destroyed. That was their main concern. So that is why they protested against. But now they have really realized that not only the forest will be affected, but people also will be affected. Recently, it has refocused the aim to enable poor citizens, especially the outstees. Outstees means the displaced people. When the dam is built there, those people will be displaced from there. They will be chased out from there. So those people to get full rehabilitation facilities from the government. So they are demanding, if these people are chased out from here because of the dam, then they should be given full rehabilitation. They should be given another better place, another good place for them to settle down. Not simply asking them to vacate and go, but they should be given good land, the good facilities and so on. Otherwise, other people will be getting the benefit and these poor people will be losing their land, their homes, and they will be continue to live a poor life. And the people felt that their suffering would not be in vain. So people are ready to sacrifice their family, their house, their land, everything, because they understand it is going to be good for the nation. That is true. They are ready to make that sacrifice. And that trauma means that mental feeling, that mental sadness. Just imagine you are chased out from their land from your land, your house. You have to leave your house, you have to leave your cultivation, your agricultural field, everything you have to leave, and you have to go to another new place, and you have to start digging and making house, everything. So that trauma, losing all your property, that is really a big issue, a big problem for the people. So accepted the trauma of displacement, believing in the promise of irrigated fields and plentiful harvest. So they were ready to accept that trauma, they were ready to go to a new place because government promised them that they will be given a good field, irrigated field. From this dam they will be given water for irrigating their field. That was promised, but God knows government will fulfill it or not. So often the survivors of Reham told us that they accepted their sufferings as sacrifice for the sake of their nation. So those simple villages, poor villages, they said, we are ready to accept this sacrifice, sacrificing of our home, our land, everything, for the sake of the development of the nation. So for the sake of nation, we are ready to sacrifice our land. But now, after 30 bitter years of being adrift, their livelihood having even been more precarious, they keep asking, are we the only ones chosen to make sacrifices for the nation? So 30 years already, government is making this project down, and government people have been protesting it, and government has not fulfilled their promise. They are not given a good land, they are not given a irrigated land, and people are still living, struggling in that poverty. So people, they made that sacrifice for the development of the nation, but these people ask, why others are not sacrificing? Only we are sacrificing for the development of the nation, but other people are only getting the benefit and we are made to struggle. So that is a real genuine question from their side. They are made to sacrifice, those poor people are made to sacrifice for the benefit of all the rest of the nation. So that is not justified, there is no justice. Therefore we must make sure, the government should make sure the promises are fulfilled. They are promised irrigated land, good land, but good land is not provided. They are given only a small area where agriculture cannot grow well. So those people continue to struggle and they continue to remain poor. That's why these people come together in the name of Narmada Bachao and Tolan and continue to protest against the government, against their developmental planning and projects which affects adversely this group of people. And let us see now, come back to other activities of the dams. So irrigation also has changed. The cropping pattern of many regions with farmers shifting to water intensive and commercial crops. So early, before the dams were built, people were completely depending on the monsoon rains. So we get monsoon from the beginning of June, and then people will start cultivating at that time. Then by the end of that raining monsoon season, people will have to do their harvesting. After that, no water to cultivation, so farmers have nothing to do. They just remain idle, they have nothing to do. But because of these dams, now irrigation facilities are available. Even if there is no rain, we are able to use this dam water and do the cultivation. Therefore, the cropping pattern has changed. Earlier there was only one cultivation in a year, that is during the monsoon. Now people have changed that one and they started cultivating several times in a year. 2 times or 3 times in a year they are able to cultivate because of the dams provide water for irrigation. And this has great ecological consequences like salinization of the soil. So, people cultivate 3 times in a year and they use this water, and this water has got salt inside. It has got a lot of saline powers, the power of the salt, and that is used. So this irrigation is done so many times, water is used so many times, therefore the capacity or the quality of the soil is lost. Soil is getting mixed with salt, and that is another problem. At the same time, it has transformed the social landscape, that is increasing the social gap between the richer landowners and the landless poor. So when there is irrigation, you can imagine who are the people getting benefit. The ordinary farmers with a small field, they may not be able to get this irrigation facility. Very often it is used by rich farmers who have got large areas of land for cultivation. They are the one able to use this water facility or irrigation facility. Therefore, the richer will become richer and richer. They are able to produce more, cultivate more, and so on. But on the other hand, the poor farmers, they continue to remain poor. They have no source, no access to this water, and so on. So we say it is for the development of the nation, but we know all the people are not getting the benefit, especially the poor people are not getting the benefits. And therefore, as we can see, the dams did create conflicts between people wanting different uses and benefits from the same water resources. So, all the people want to get benefit from this. Especially the poor people who have sacrificed their land, they should get more benefit. But what is happening is just the opposite. It is the rich who are getting the benefit. Therefore, there is often conflict to get equal benefit. And very often the rich will win the case and they will get more benefit, and the poor people will continue to suffer. For example, in Gujarat, the Sabarmati Basin farmers were agitated and almost caused a riot over the higher priority given to water supply in urban areas, particularly during droughts. So, take the example of Sabarmati areas. So the farmers who sacrifice their land, they are not given land during the drought season. They are not given priority. Instead, this water is taken to the place, into the urban cities where the people are staying in the city to meet their needs. And the poor farmers who sacrifice their land, they are nearby and they have lost their original land and they are not given any benefit. Government does not supply water to them, but government is worried about supplying water to the town. So there was almost a right that people who sacrifice their land, their house, government is not considering them. Government is not worried about their needs, but only about the rich people who are staying in the town. So there was almost like a right. And interstate water disputes are also becoming common with regard to sharing the costs and benefits of the multi-purpose projects. And also sometimes there is fight between two states, people of two states. The dam is built in one state and those people have suffered. But after the dam is built, they make agreement. This much water will be given to other state. So those people did not make any sacrifice, but they are getting the benefits, maybe equal benefits. So that way, people of two states, they are also fighting each other. They also become like enemies because of this policy of this government. So a dam can bring lot of development. At the same time, it also can cause lot of hardships, lot of disturbance, lot of disunity also. Then most of the objections to the projects arose due to their failure to achieve the purpose for which they were built. So another thing is that the objections came, people came and objected because government promised that this dam will be built and there will be irrigation facility, there will be entertainment facility, there will be electricity facility. So many facilities were promised by the government before the construction of the dam. But once the dam is constructed, hardly any of these purposes are met. Maybe only used for irrigation or maybe only used for electricity production and so on. But other facilities are navigation facility, entertainment facility, those facilities are not provided. Therefore, people feel that they are cheated. Government promised they will do, but these are not provided. Therefore, people start protesting. And ironically, the dams that were constructed to control floods have triggered floods due to sedimentation in the reservoir. So, one of the purposes of building dam we saw in the early class that it was to prevent the flood. All the extra flowing of the water will be stored in this reservoir, in this dam, so that the overflow of the river will be checked and the people will be saved from flood. But what happens is just the opposite. As the river is flowing and entering into the dam, it is bringing a lot of sand, lot of silt, soil, everything, and so dam is slowly filled up. The depth of the dam is becoming less and less. It is filled with mud, so there is no much place for storing water, and therefore it is causing flood again. So the dam that was built for checking flood, now it is causing flood. It is not able to check the flood because the dam is filled with mud. Several years mud has been coming inside and the dam is becoming smaller and smaller. So government is not doing anything in order to remove this mud from the dam and create more space for storing water. That is not done. Therefore it is causing flood again. So people are suffering because of the flood. And moreover, the big dams have mostly been unsuccessful in controlling floods at the time of excessive rainfall. So there are so many big dams are there in our country and they are not able to control the flood during the rainy season. They just remain and most of the dams overflow and the people have to bear the consequences. So that is the dam that was built for controlling the flood, they are not able to control, so instead people continue to suffer. And you may have seen or read how the release of water from dams during the heavy rains aggravated the flood situation in Maharashtra and Gujarat in 2006. So there are some newspaper clippings are there, they have taken and given in the textbook for us to see. That was in year 2006. There was heavy flood or heavy rain was there in our country and some of the big dams in Gujarat and Maharashtra, they were overflowing. The dams were full and so the officials, they opened the dam and sent out the water and the water was flowing with full speed and the people were affected again. So the dam that was built for helping the people, it became a threat to the people. It became causing a flood to their lives, their property and their crops and so on. So it was doing harm to them instead of doing good. The floods have not only devastated life and property but also caused extensive soil erosion. So when the flood happens, it will destroy the family property, the cultivation area, the house, and also it is causing lot of soil erosion. As the water is flowing with full speed coming out from the dam and it is flowing with full speed, it is carrying away a lot of soil and soil erosion also is taking place. So environmental issue also is there. Then sedimentation also meant that the floodplains were deprived of silt, a natural fertilizer, further adding on to the problem of land degradation. So when the river is flowing, we studied about northern India plains. The land is very fertile because three rivers, Ganga, Brahmaputra and Indus. These three rivers starting from Himalayan mountains and they bring lot of silt, a lot of sediments and they bring down and that area it becomes very fertile, very rich. But here the dam is built, therefore the river is not able to flow with full speed and they are not able to bring much silt outside the dam. It is remaining inside the dam and it is not able to come. So people who are in the other side of the dam, their land becomes infertile. They don't get this new soil, alluvium soil and other fertile silt that is brought by the river is not able to reach to their cultivation field. Therefore their land becomes less fertile, less and less fertile. All the fertile soil is getting accumulated in the dam. So that is another problem that the farmers are facing because of this dam. And it was also observed that the multi-purpose project induced earthquakes, cause waterborne diseases and the pests and the pollution resulting from excessive use of water. So apart from these problems, environmental problems, there is also problem caused by this dam. What are they causing? They are inducing earthquakes. So there is a possibility of earthquake because of this huge weight on the earth. The water is stored so much and that area becomes very heavy and it can induce or it can invite earthquakes. Problems are there, earthquake can happen because of these heavy dams. Then it can cause waterborne diseases. So this water is accumulated there and it is stagnant water. You can see mosquitoes and other things can grow there and it can cause diseases. Those who are using that water can get diseases, and pests can grow there in that water, and the pollution also can be there. Water pollution also can be there. People may come and wash clothes or factory waste, everything may be pushed into it, so that water can be polluted and those who use that water can get sicknesses and so on. So these are some of the difficulties or the problems of the dam. As a whole, when we look, there can be development in the country. There can be production of electricity, there can be production of more crops with the help of irrigation and so on. But mostly there are also a lot of harms are there. The environment is affected, the fauna is affected, the flora is affected, the farmers are affected, the earthquake can be there, and people can get waterborne diseases and so on. So a lot of problems are there, and moreover the people have to make sacrifices and they don't get the benefit after all. So these are some of the reasons why people are objecting the river project, multi-river projects. So very often government make a lot of promises but they fail to fulfill those promises. That's why people are unhappy and they try to protest against the government and so on. So I hope you are following it and understanding it. We have a little more topic is left in this lesson, and that is about rainwater harvesting. So we will see how to do that rainwater harvesting, and we shall just start and give, and tomorrow's class we shall complete. Okay. So rainwater harvesting. So many thought that given the disadvantages and rising resistance against the multi-purpose projects, water harvesting system was a viable alternative, both socio-economically and environmentally. So, as we saw in the last session, that people have been protesting against government's plan of making multi-purpose projects because it is causing a lot of trouble for the people. So, how to get water then? How to solve this water scarcity problem? So, the best alternative that is suggested, instead of building dam, start rainwater harvesting. Instead of making huge dams and affecting the lives of the people, what we shall do? We can make a water harvesting, rainwater harvesting. So we get good monsoon rains from June to September or even up to October. So we can collect this water and store in the water tanks. That will help, that will solve the water scarcity that is we are facing during the drought season. So that is the best alternative, and it is socio-economically as well as environmentally it is safe. And in ancient India, along with the sophisticated hydraulic structures, there existed an extraordinary tradition of water harvesting system. So this water harvesting system also was practiced in the olden times. So we said in olden times also there were dams were built. But not only dams, they also had that idea of harvesting rainwater. And people had in-depth knowledge of rainfall regimes and soil types and developed wide-ranging techniques to harvest water, rainwater, groundwater, river water and flood water in keeping with the local ecological conditions and their water needs. So people were able to think in their own way. The modern technology was not there, the scientific idea was not there, but they used their own ideas, they used their own head to think, how can I make use this water? The river is there, and after some time the rain will stop, and afterwards again drought will begin, dry season will begin. Then how am I going to support my family? How am I going to support my farm? So people began to think about it, and they began to use rainwater, groundwater, river water and flood water. All that they began to make use in different way to sustain in the future. Then in hill and mountain regions, people built diversion channels like gulls and pools of the western Himalayas for agriculture. So people who are living in the hills, how did they manage, or how did they make use of the water, rainwater? They made channels. So they made small drain or canals to direct the water into their field. So what are these channels called? Some people call it gulls, or some people call it kulls or gulls. And rooftop rainwater harvesting was commonly practiced to store drinking water, particularly in Rajasthan. We know Rajasthan is a dry state and they get very less rain. Therefore, they use this rooftop water harvesting for their house purpose, for their domestic purpose, not for agriculture. So they'll make a big tank and they'll connect the pipe from the rooftop, and that water will be connected to the tank, and during the rainy season they fill up that water tank so that they can continue to use that water in the dry season. So that was practiced in Rajasthan. In the floodplains of Bengal, people developed inundation channels to irrigate their fields. So the Bengal, when we come to Bengal, they have a lot of plain areas are there, especially in the Hooghly river side, and those river is flooded. What do? They used to develop inundation channels. So where this water used to overflow, they used to make channels and divert the water to the fields for irrigation. And in arid and semi-arid regions, agricultural fields were converted into rain-fed storage structures that allowed the water to stand and moisten the soil, like Kadins, the Jaisalmer and the Johas and other parts of Rajasthan. So the arid means dry places, or semi-dry places. What did they do? Agricultural fields were converted into rain-fed storage structures. So agricultural field, which is very dry, for them very difficult to cultivate there. So they converted them into rain-fed storage structures that allowed the water to stand and moisten the soil, like Kadins. So those places, they diverted the water and made the water to remain. They made store of the water. Like a paddy field, they burnt all the four sides and they sent water there, and water will remain there. So they store water there and they make the soil wet nicely. Water will sink down deep and that area will become wet. So that is how the dry areas were converted into cultivation land, by storing water there, by making dam there. Dam means not for producing electricity and so, but they bring the water from the river and store up there. They will make the water to remain stagnant there, so that mud will become better, moist and wet, and so dry mud will become wet mud by making the water to go down deep into the soil. So that is how people of Rajasthan use. So we see people even from ancient time onwards, they have been using their intellect, they have been making use of this water and so on. So we must go back to that system. Instead of thinking about making huge dams and to disturb the nature, we must make small dams, this kind of rainwater harvesting, and so that will help us to maintain the ecology, the ecosystem, and will also not cause damage to the poor people. We will not make them displaced, but we will be able to help them, and everyone will have self-sufficiency. So these are the things that we need to plan out in our life in order to protect the lives of the people, the environment of the the flora, fauna, everything. So for today, we shall wind it up today, and we will continue and complete the lesson in the next class. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day. Bye.